Live from Detroit, it's the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast with your hosts, Dane Williams, Junko Bodie, and Bob Daniele. If you're looking for the best present to take to your mother-in-law's birthday party, you're in the wrong place, dude. We talk Michigan sports here. It's real, it's raw, and there are no punches pulled. What happens when you put a gambler, a rocket scientist, and a radio jock in the same room? Well, we're all about to find out, and it probably won't be pretty. But whatever happens, it will be lively. So grab a brew, sit yourself in your favorite rocker, and take notes if you're some kind of nutcase. The boys are back in town and talking about the stuff that matters, Motown sports. So let's get to it, people. Here's the host of today's show, Rockin' Robert Daniele.
Hello, friends. What up? It has been a minute, huh? But rest assured, we are back. It's the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast. This is the place where you can get to visit with us and get insight into Michigan sports. I am your host, Bob Daniele, and let's say hello to my brothers from other mothers. First, a man who some people say that he lights up a room when he walks in it. That's primarily because he's worked at a power plant for about the last 35 years. It is Mr. Blue Dane Williams. Hey, Dale.
Thank you, Bobby. Not just any power plant, but a nuclear power plant. So,
Nuclear power plant. I'm
where
sure
that's where the glow came from. Hey, you know, Bob, and you always told me that I was the guy who brought visual effects. I just want to show you down here in Florida to protect myself from the sun when I'm out there. I just got to show you one thing here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh, nice.
You like the hat? Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I got my Michigan spirit even down here in Florida.
You've become a Florida man.
I didn't even know they had paddy fields in Florida.
That's right.
Anyway,
that's good. I that'll come in handy when you're picking up trash on the highway to do your public service.
No, I'm waiting at Home Depot for a job. Yeah. Okay.
And of course, the creator of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Empire, truly a Renaissance man. It's the often imitated, never duplicated Junko Bodie. JB, what up?
Hey, never duplicated for a good reason, right? Nobody wants to be me.
There you go.
Well, we are in our fourth season, and we do have a lot of fun here. I get a front row seat and listen to two guys that love to dive deep into U of M football and our boys in the Honolulu Blue. Wow, Michigan, huh? Let's start there. And oh my, we got a lot to talk about. Also, the Lions start this week. We have a preview of Game 1 against Green Bay. And let me explain something here. Our staff has done some real tough analytics. And when I say our staff, I mean Junko. And we've realized from feedback and some podcast spikes that our main focus will be on Michigan football and, of course, Lions football. If significant things happen to our other teams that are noteworthy, of course, we're going to cover them as well. But you know what? Let's let you know who we are. We'll be here over the next 20 weeks or so covering Michigan and Lions football. You never know what to expect. Of course, we give you some useful insight on maybe if you want to wager your money on some of these games. Dane, of course, every once in a while, he'll come up with some interpretive dance or some song and dance. He does some beat poetry. You never know. He's a song and dance man. Yeah, he has some useless trivia as well. It's all here. So here we go. Team 146 for the winningest team in college football history, coming off of a relatively disappointing season. It's all how you look at it. 8-5. Last season, the Michigan defense did what they were supposed to do, right? But the offense laid a big, fat, rotten egg, resulting in Kirk Campbell being replaced by Chip Lindsey. This past Saturday, we saw Game 1 against New Mexico, and oh my goodness, 2 words, guys, Bryce Underwood.
No doubt.
Right? So let's start the season preview off right there with the offense. Let's be honest, last year, not so much. They were kind of terrible. Are you guys ready to say that is all behind us and Michigan now has a legit offense? Dane, I'll start with you, and then I'll ask Junko the same.
Yeah, they have a legit offense. It's a night and day difference. Still ways to go. I think Underwood still has to get on the same page with some of his receivers, but all in all, I thought for a first game for a freshman quarterback, he showed a lot of poise. He made the right decisions, no mistakes. Maybe a couple of somewhat errant throws, but no interceptions. He didn't fumble. One sack. But otherwise, I thought he did a marvelous job. Klein showed a lot of promise out there in the tight end group. He had like 93 yards in passing. Some of the receivers stepped up too, and of course that running game, pretty special with Mr. Haynes.
Mm-hmm. Junko?
Yeah, my answer is not yet. And then I knew Dane would be enthusiastic about this. And I'll give him
That's why
credit.
I went to him
I don't
first.
think there was a single game last season where Michigan had 452 yards of total offense. Maybe did they, Dane? I don't think
I
they had
don't
a
think they
single
did.
one.
This certainly had more
Yeah.
passing yards this game than any game last season.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the offense has improved, yes. Now, the offensive line looks better, but I wouldn't say it's completely fixed. The receivers look a little better, but they dropped a bunch of balls. And there was a couple plays where I looked downfield, nobody was open. Yeah, the quarterback, I mean, you're right, Bob. Bryce Underwood was that. If there is two words to describe that game, Bryce Underwood would be the perfect two. But let's see that against Oklahoma, right? That's
Yeah,
New Mexico.
that is New Mexico.
Let's see that against Oklahoma. And the last thing is, I think running backs. I was really impressed with Haynes, but not so much with Marshall.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that was the play calls or if they just blocked better on the plays that Haynes had the ball, whatever. But I really thought he would have a bigger game than he had.
Yeah, it's interesting
Well, I
on
want to ask you this.
on the running backs. If you take away the two long runs by Haynes, I mean, they only averaged 3.3 yards per carry. So, yeah, there were a lot of carries that but when you look at the two, I agree with you. Marshall was not as impressive as he was last year in that Alabama game where he's breaking tackles. Haynes was the one, he was breaking tackles. Of course, he had those two long runs. He was, he could have drove
He
a
ran
Mack
through
truck
wide
through
open
there,
holes.
but
Yeah, right.
he was breaking tackles on other runs. So I was very impressed. Marshall, I think he'll come around, but you're right.
If you would have
Okay,
told me
so
before
quick
the
question.
game started, let me just say this if
All
you would have
right.
told me before the game started that Bryce Underwood would have had a 67% completion percentage and we would have had 250 yards rushing, I would have told you we would have won this game by 6 touchdowns,
Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
there were some tight moments in the game.
So Chip Lindsey just made the most anticipated offensive debut since the Rich Rodriguez era, and hopefully that'll be the last time we need to mention that name. But how do you think he did? How was the play calling?
I'll say the passing looks improved, obviously. And it was great to see. I was worried about who was going to replace Holston Loveland, right? And watching Klein slide into that role and Lindsey be able to use him, I thought that was a really big thing for Michigan. And they didn't even have Hogan Hansen for the game, who was supposed to be the better receiving of the two tight ends. I kind of feel like Klein is kind of Loveland. I mean, Klein was kind of like Schoonmaker, and Hansen would be kind of like Colston Loveland, right? But I thought Klein looked like Loveland yesterday, so that was awesome. The thing about the game yesterday, I think the jury's still out a little bit on Chip Lindsey because that was a very vanilla game plan, right? They ran 0 counters. They didn't throw a single deep ball. There were no crazy motions, not a single trick play attempted. I think we're really early to see the Chip Lindsey offense.
Yeah, and I don't think we
It's early,
expected to
man.
see anything special. It was going to be vanilla, just like Oklahoma. When you look at their game, it was pretty vanilla. They weren't going to show us anything. We weren't going to show them anything. But, I thought the O-line was solid. Everything was solid. The run game was solid. O-line was solid. Tight end play was solid. Now, Hansen, I believe, was nursing an injury. That's why he didn't play. But quarterback, I think with the wide receivers, I still have some concern there. They had some issues getting open, being on the same page with Underwood, but we'll see. This upcoming week should be very interesting.
Okay. Now, Bryce was outstanding, right? So nobody's ready to give him the Heisman yet, and it was New Mexico. But Junko, I got 3 questions for you. Then we'll have Dane cover them. What were your expectations for him going into this game? What surprised you, and what does he need to get better at?
Yeah, I was expecting for him to be a game manager and that the Chip Lindsey would tailor the offense around him so that he would just basically be handing off the weapons. I didn't expect him to be the best player on offense, which is what he was.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a few things I thought maybe he could have done better, they didn't run the read option and it was there all day. But one of the things I'm really excited about, Bob, I'm going to say this to you too, Blue Dane, is that we finally have a quarterback who could actually run and read the read option. That's going to be huge for the offense. I thought he was also a little bit hesitant on some of his pre-snap reads. There was 2 or 3 times where he actually rolled to where the pressure was coming from. I thought he could have done a better job of that. But overall, for a first performance, all I could say is wow.
Dane,
Yeah,
expectations,
I agree.
surprises?
I think with all the hype, I would say he met my expectations for the way he played. I did expect him to come out. I expect him to be, slinging that ball pretty well. And I think he's going to have to temper that just a little bit on some of those throws. Maybe he's got a little too much juice on those throws. Otherwise, I mean, he was getting that ball out quickly. He was making quick decisions. Like I say, not making the quick decision, making a mistake, throwing into a lot of coverage. Again, it was New Mexico. We'll see what's going to happen. But no interceptions, no fumbles. He had the 1 sack, getting rid of the ball quickly. My surprise, I think, is as a freshman, I didn't know how much poise we would see out of him, how much confidence there would be in that pocket. But, for a guy who can run, I thought, well, he gets a little skittish in there. He's going to take off running. He stayed in that pocket. Even,
Yeah.
he stayed in that
Yeah, that was
pocket
pretty
and
impressive.
he waited for his receivers to get open. So I was impressed. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't slapping the ball. He wasn't bouncing. He
Yeah.
got back there and he looked like an NFL
Yeah.
quarterback. And I will say, his ball, when it leaves his hand, is the best delivery of a football I've seen out of a Michigan quarterback since Drew Henson.
Yeah. Very nice.
Well, the passing game is a surprise, and it's always been a luxury. Seemed a little balanced this game, but it's always been the running backs that we've counted on, right? Khalil Mullins, Donovan Edwards, they're now both in the NFL. Ben Hall has transferred out of the program. Now it's Marshall and Haynes. Did they live up to the Michigan standard? And what did you take away from the Michigan running game? I'll ask Dane first.
Yeah, I think the Michigan, well, I mean, they had 201 yards or something. So anytime you get over 200 yards, bravo. The 2 long, like I said before, 2 long runs, but hey, it matters, right? 1 touchdown, almost a touchdown. So I think otherwise, I think probably is going to have to look at the blocking still on that O-line because, only 3.3 yards per carry if you take those 2 long runs out of there. So I think there's still some work to do there. Marshall, I'm not sure if he was hitting the holes like he did against Alabama. He looked a little hesitant in there. So I think, but like I said, I think he'll come around. And, I'm excited to see this freshman they keep talking about too, Jasper Parker. They're talking like he's going to get to see some playing action too, and they're really impressed with him. Although we didn't see him against New Mexico.
For those of you that are listening on the radio and don't get the visual, Junko's just doing the little bippity 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 signal there.
Yeah, right.
A lot of talk.
Yeah, a lot of talk about Jasper Parker, and Apana was the only other back that got a carry.
Yeah.
And he only got 1. So we still don't know who the 3rd string running back is really. So that's going to be something to look out for in the coming weeks. Regarding the running game, I thought that the offensive line actually blocked it pretty well and that the running backs actually missed some holes. Marshall in particular missed a couple holes where he would have had big gainers had he run through the right hole. He just didn't. And they're going to see that on tape. They're going to get that corrected. I feel like that's a big problem. I think that's probably a first game kind of thing. I think they'll get that out of the way. But one of the things I like about the combination of these 2 backs is that they're a nice blend of speed and power. Haynes is fast. I didn't realize how fast he
Yeah.
was, right?
When he got in the open, he
and
could.
Marshall,
Yeah.
and Marshall, even with running through Plutton in the wrong hole, was still getting 2 or 3 yards per crack, and that's got to be pretty encouraging. Now, the downside of that is that the defensive tackles, for New Mexico, weighed about 270 pounds. So that ain't gonna be who they're gonna be facing at Oklahoma. So we'll get a chance to see how that works out.
There are a lot of caveats that were going into this game, right? I mean, you look at stats. I mean, here's again, I'm going to ask you guys a question about now Michigan's identity, right? Always a power running team, but now having Bryce and Chip Lindsey, are they going to change that? Junko, you came up with this stat in our notes that this week they had a total of 452 yards, ran the ball 32 times, threw it 31 times. I've not seen a balanced attack like that in quite a while. Is this the new norm? Junko, why don't you address that first?
No, it's not the new norm. I think they're going to throw it more than they have in years past. And if they didn't bring Bryce Underwood to Michigan, pay him all that money so they could hand the ball off to running backs, right? They're going to throw it more. But the situation, the game score, and the game situation is going to dictate. Don't make any mistake about it. If Sharon Moore can run the ball, he's going to run the ball. And if they're getting 4 or 5 yards of crack, he's going to run the ball 32 times, just like he did at Penn State a few years ago, right? But, what they do have now is the ability to mix it up so that they can run the ball better. And because what was really encouraging to me was, did you guys see the play where Bryce ran the run pass option and he stuck it in the belly, pulled it out, and hit, I believe it was Klein on the slant? I was thinking, where has that play been the last 5 years, right? Because we could have run that last year. We'd have been a CFP team. That was really encouraging to me. That 3rd and 14 throw he made too was
more
ridiculous.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Just, I think it was Channing actually that caught it.
Oh, it was Channing,
yeah. But anyway, that was amazing. I think what we're going to see going forward for Michigan is that the 500 yards of total offense is going to become kind of a benchmark for the Bryce Underwood era.
Okay.
They had 452 in their first outing. Chip's used to putting up between 400 and 550 yards per game. I think in the game for Michigan gets to that 500-yard mark, we're going to win 95 or 99% of those games. So I'm very encouraged by the 452 for the first outing.
Dane's still a running team or more balanced? What's the identity?
Definitely more balanced. The days of teams putting 8 in the box against our, because they knew we couldn't pass, I think are gone. So yeah, I definitely see it more balanced. And when you look back on Chip Lindsey and what he's done over the years, it's been a pretty balanced attack. But hey, anything over the last year, any passing over the last year is an improvement towards being more balanced between pass and rush. But again, rush is our rushing game is our bread and butter, and we are not going to abandon that, especially with Haynes and Marshall.
67% completion rate in this first start and no picks.
Yeah, nice.
For a true freshman, just turned 18.
Yeah, just turned 18.
That is amazing.
What were we doing when we were 18?
Amazing. Oh,
not that. I know.
That.
Yeah. I don't think we can talk
not
about
making
that
millions of dollars either.
Nothing half as productive.
Half. 10th. But you know what? It all starts with the offensive line, so it's got to be there. It was an area of concern at the start of this season. By most accounts, last season was a down year for Michigan's offensive line. In the offseason, started as Josh Preby, Miles Hinton, and Dom Guidice. But in Italian, it's Guidici. Everybody knows that. They've moved on. Raheem Anderson, Jeff Percy, and Tristan Bounds, and Andrew Gentry have transferred. Now it's Sprague, Norton, Crippen, and Al Hadi, and Link Time. So how'd they do? And is this a better line than last season? Dane, you take that first.
I think it is a better line than last season, but the jury's still out. I mean, it was New Mexico. I know we're trying to foretell what's going to happen, but when you look at it, penalty wise, I think there was that one holding call that Sprague, against Sprague. Other than that, it was pretty clean by the offensive line. They opened up some lanes for Haynes on those two big runs, and like Junko said, they probably opened up some other holes for Marshall. He just didn't maybe hit the right hole. But moreover, they provided some very good protection for Underwood. I thought the protection and passing his pocket rarely collapsed on him. So although he was getting rid of that ball pretty quickly,
Yeah.
I think the pass protection was good. Junko?
Yeah, really good for the interior, especially. Both tackles gave up the pressure. Link gave up a sack. I think the last play of the game they had a sack too. I'm not sure if they credited that too. But that, and I agree with Dane. Better, good, to be determined in terms of how good they're actually going to be. I thought the run blocking was a lot better than it was last year in particular. But again, it's New Mexico. The pass blocking, I think they're still susceptible to the speed rush on the edges. I think they need to clean that up. And I'm wondering if they're going to address that with the chipping of the running backs, because I can see that our tackles don't look to be that quick to get to the outside. We'll see if they get better at that as the year goes on. But for game one, um, pretty good. Here's one thing I will say, though, is that the running game, in a lot of ways, didn't accomplish what Sharon Moore wanted to accomplish in game one. And I say that because of the time of possession stat, where New Mexico had the ball for 8 minutes more than Michigan did in the game. 33 minutes to 26 minutes. It's not exactly, it's actually more like 9 minutes.
Yeah, it was closer to 6 minutes actually when you put all the seconds on there. But yeah, I understand your point.
Okay.
Understand your
Yeah.
point.
Michigan wants to dominate the line of scrimmage. They want to dominate time of possession. They want to hatch the ball. They want to play complementary football by keeping the ball away from the opposing offenses, right? That's how you stop a guy like John Mateer, is you don't give him the ball, right? And that's going to be something I'm going to be paying attention to here in this upcoming Oklahoma game. And something I think that Sharon's going to be talking about in that offensive line meeting room this week.
You know what the difference
right,
was in time of possession? It was one play, one bad call by the refs. And
That's true.
that was that incomplete pass.
We're going to get to the officiating, but yeah.
When they
you're
extended
talking about
that
the
was the
targeting?
difference.
Yeah.
You're talking about the targeting,
We're
right?
going to get to that. Let's get to that later.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, one more point on offense. Receivers. Longtime coach Ron Bellamy and the receiver corps taking a lot of crap for the lack of a high-end passing game. Where is that passing game now? Have we made a leap there? And Junko, who stood out on Saturday?
Well, I thought Shannon Goodwin and Marvin Klein were the two guys who stood out to me. I've never been sold on Samaj. I'm still not sold on him. I don't see the wiggle that everybody talks about. To me, he's an undersized receiver with average quickness, And I thought he played a really solid game this Saturday. I'll give him credit for that, but nothing spectacular. What I saw at a good one was some really precise route running, especially on that 3rd and 14 play where he turned the corner. He got his head around. That ball was delivered on time. And we had a seam route completion that went for like 25 or 30 yards or whatever it was. I loved that. Nick Marsh obviously did not have. Was it Nick or Andrew? I can't remember which one's on our team and which one's at
Yeah, it's
Michigan
Andrew
State.
Marsh.
Andrew Marsh. Yeah, he had a rough outing. He had a couple balls that came his way where he wasn't on the same page, and he had the fumble, kick return. But I mean, for the first game in the Underwood era, I really thought the receivers kind of stepped up.
Okay. Dane, how do you see it?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a leap. I would say it's definite improvement. Yeah, Klein, great. Hey, here we go. It's Michigan, and still tight ends are leading the way in
Right.
receiving yardage, right? So where are our receivers? I was underwhelmed by McCulley. Even the one play where he didn't go far enough for the first down. He went 9 yards instead of going 11. Um, he wasn't. I know he wasn't targeted that often, but yeah, good. I agree with Goodwin. Samaj Morgan, he's 4 for 4. So, he's targeted 4 times, had 4 completions, 33 yards. So not so bad, but I don't see the leap yet. It was encouraging, but again, tight ends lead the team. I was hoping to see I was, he never really, and I understand it was the first game. They probably didn't want to do it, but we never saw one where he just let it go down the field. They didn't send
Mhm.
McCulley deep and they just let one go down the field. You never saw that in that game. I was hoping to see at least one, but we didn't see that. So anyway,
They could all be works in progress, right? All right, so now let's talk about the bread and butter, what makes Michigan Michigan. It makes its bones on defense. And DC Wink Martindale seemed to really get this unit ramped up near the end of last season. So the expectations are high. Will we have results that are similar to that this year? And I know it's just New Mexico, but Dane, I mean, can we expect more of the same or better?
I think we'll see better. I don't think that was the best performance by that defense. Especially you look at, I focus on, penalties, and there were a couple of pass interference calls. We had a couple of offsides calls. I mean, just things. Pass interference, I can sort of understand. Offsides, though, that shouldn't be happening, right? Especially in New Mexico. Why are you jumping the gun? Of course, we'll talk about it later, but that huge call on Jason Barham, and that targeting. So, we had like 8 penalties for 65 yards or something, and most of them were defense. I think there was only one on the offense for 10 yards. So I think that needs to be cleaned up. But, we had three sacks, 3 interceptions. They put pressure on the quarterback if he wasn't getting sacked. So the secondary, gave up 217 passing yards to New Mexico. Let's see what happens at Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, so I got a quick question for you. We did touch on officiating. Was it as bad as it looked? And how much really did it impact the game? Junko?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, as Dane mentioned, they scored another touchdown based on a guy who caught the ball cleared out of bounds. Now, the replay official buzzed down the play or two before to get Barham for the ejection on the
Targeting.
the targeting that wasn't even called on the
Yeah.
field, right?
Right.
And so he was quick to buzz down and get that done. But when the ball slides out of bounds later on, there's no call down. He doesn't even. All you got to do is hit a buzzer and say, "Hold on a second, I want to look at this again." Right? That never happened. I mean, I think the guy he must have been at McDonald's while the game was going on or doing something, because he certainly wasn't paying attention to what was going on the field. Very disappointing. I didn't think the referees were that good, but I thought the replay official was awful. God awful.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing too, is that they called 8 penalties on Michigan and 1 penalty, a false start only, on New Mexico the whole game. And the whole game I was watching holding going on at the offensive line, right? And they got us for 2 holding calls. It wasn't like they weren't going to call holding. I guess they just weren't going to call holding on New Mexico. It was probably one of the worst combination of replay and on the field officiating that I've seen at Michigan in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you feel the same way.
Yeah. When you look at the replay of that pass that was incomplete, that they called complete, when the guy, he was sliding and he had his back to the ref who called it complete. And there was a guy standing where he could see it clearly. He wasn't an official, but he's waving his arms like incomplete, incomplete. And this ref, who couldn't even see what had happened, comes over and calls it complete. And then again, like Junko said, the replay booth doesn't hit the button and say, hold on a sec, let's look at this one, because the whole stadium saw that it was incomplete, but the refs let it go. And, credit to New Mexico, they got up and hiked the ball and they were done, right?
Yeah, they're going quick for a reason,
Hell yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knows that trick, right? When you got a questionable call, you run to the line, get it off before they can. That's elementary.
So New Mexico.
Isn't there some leeway?
Let me finish this. So New Mexico got,
go ahead.
4 of their first downs were via penalty, right? And I think they were pretty even 2021. 4 of them were via penalty. So we that's, like I said earlier, we've got to clean that up. We can't be jumping off sides, and we really have to watch. Pass interference may happen, if guys clearly beat, but we got to watch the jumping off sides. And this targeting thing, I've watched so many podcasts where people are going, we don't know what targeting is. We don't know.
Yeah.
And it looks like Jason is trying to wrap him up, right? And at the same time, his cheek happens to hit his helmet, and boom, it's targeting. What the hell? I don't want to talk about it.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at, because it just seemed, isn't there some sort of leeway for some sort of accidental contact like that? It wasn't really targeting.
It wasn't malicious.
Maybe they can say
there's no such thing
malicious.
as a tackle inside the tackle boxes that doesn't involve heads colliding, right? I mean, it just does. You're in the box there, and you got a 6'5" defensive end trying to tackle a 6-foot quarterback who's crouching, right? You're gonna be high.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit that, but it also appeared that he turned his head away to not hit the crown of the helmet. And that's why I thought that was a cheap call. But anyway, I mean, it's over. And we move on, right?
No, not quite yet.
It's not
I want
over.
to say my piece about the NCAA and their vendetta against Michigan. I swear to God, because Michigan didn't accept the penalty, I think had something to do with the NCAA saying, yeah, we're not going to give them a break on the targeting. The hell with that. We're, they dare, don't take our penalties,
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, now we enter the conspiracy theory part of our program.
No, I'm just saying I don't like the NCAA. That's all I'm saying. And I think they don't like us. All right.
All right. So we're moving on now, right? Oklahoma, the real season starts this Saturday in Norman. This is exciting. Vegas has Michigan 5-point underdog, and quarterback John Mateer had a big opening day for the Sooners. Bryce is making his first road start. Barnum is suspended for the first half, and Rod Moore and Hogan Hansen are questionable. So, can Michigan win? What will it take to get it done? I'm going to start off with Dayton.
Well, like I said before, we've got to clean some things up on the penalties. And special teams, we haven't talked about special teams, but, there are a couple times on punts where, and I remember during the game, there was some text going back and forth on this, but Samaj Morgan, man, he didn't come up. Looked like he was going to come up and field the punt, and he just lets it go, and the thing bounces 20 yards behind him. So, we're starting off with definitely worse field position than we should have. And then, I know he's a freshman, but Marsh, the fumble. Somebody's got to hopefully talk to him this week saying, if you're 4 yards into the end zone, just take a knee, buddy. Okay, it's all right.
Why do you have a freshman returning kicks anyway?
Well, good point. That. He must have impressed them in camp, but I'll tell you, he needs to learn a little more, or just fair catch the damn thing. Don't worry about it. That we'll take it at the 25. But I know he was trying to make a play. He was trying to, show something, but we definitely need to get that cleaned up. I would say too, our third down efficiency was only 6 of 13. So we're less than 50% on third down efficiency. Mm-hmm. On a plus, our red zone efficiency was 4 for 4. So I like that. We didn't see that last year. I don't think ever.
That also relates to time of possession.
Yeah. So I would say there are three things.
It also means we got a really good field goal kicker.
Yeah, we do. He was again, he's Mr. Automatic, even though it's only 2. So I say there are probably 3 things We need to minimize or eliminate mistakes, penalties, fumbles, interceptions. And then we've got to get some pressure on Mateer. Watching him in his game, they never pressured him at all. He had all the time in the world to find his receivers, and I think Illinois State was playing a zone, so all he had to do was find a soft spot in the zone. Boom, they were open for 15, 20 yards.
It was 7 on
every
7
single
ball.
time.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Right.
so now I know, Michigan may play some zone in there, but we've got to, if we're going to do that, we got to get some pressure on the quarterback. And then I would say from a rushing game, we got to be close to 200 yards. We've got to beat them in the trenches with the running game. Those are my 3 keys to victory for Michigan.
Junko, how do you see it?
Well, I think, in my opinion, Michigan is going to win this game. I'm not going to tell you the score yet, but I'm going to tell you they are going to win this game. And this is the 4 things that they're going to do to win the game. 1 is they're going to win the turnover battle. They must win the turnover battle. 2, they got to get reasonable officiating in this game, right? You're going to Norman, Oklahoma, and be playing against the crowd. You can't be playing against the officials too. They need to get reasonable officiating. 3, they got to hold the Oklahoma running game under 100 yards. And Southern Illinois or whatever weenie team that they played last week held them under 100 yards.
Yeah.
Right? We got to be able to do the same. And then the last thing is that I'm with Dane. We got to pound the quarterback. We got to keep Mateer in the pocket, and we got to hit him. And if they do that, as Yoda says, win you will.
So basically make Mateer one-dimensional, right?
Yeah. He can scramble.
You got to make him
he can
a
run.
passer who's getting hit. Yeah.
He can run.
But don't give him both.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
like Dane said, if you let him out of the pocket, that's going to be bad.
All right, I'm going to set it up for you, then we'll look at some scores. So, number 15, Michigan against number 18, Oklahoma. It's a 7:30 start in Norman, 7:30 Eastern time, by the way. So, the last time these teams met was 1976, the Orange Bowl. Remember that? I don't. Wasn't born yet. Actually, we graduated then, Dave. Yeah. So of the last 20 night games, Michigan is 18-2. So I'm going to ask Junko first for his score prediction.
Blue Dane is going to like this. I want you to know I don't do this to please him because usually he's, although he's been right a lot more lately than he used to be, but I've got Michigan 27, Oklahoma 24. I got Bryce Underwood going 24 in the range of 24 for 30 for about 300 yards, just under 300. And I got Michigan running for 150 yards and getting 4 sacks on the defensive end. That's how they win.
Boy, look at all those bonus predictions from Junko Bodie.
I know. Look at that.
Just telling you not only the score, but how it's going to happen. You got to know.
Exactly. Blue?
Well, I'll take everything that Junko said, and Junko must have been looking at my notes because exact same score for me, 27-24 Michigan. I see Bryce having another solid game. I see the running backs having another solid game, and I see the defense, correcting some of those mistakes. I don't see those mistakes. I don't see the penalties. I think this time. Now, Mateer, if he has time, it's gonna be tough on coverage there for our secondary, and the secondary is a little suspect. So we may see a couple of PIs back there, but yeah, I see it the same way, 27-24.
Okay.
And
so I've got him at 24-21, Michigan winning, and let the Bryce hype train begin. He'll be in the spotlight. He'll step up, and everybody the rest of the country will see what's up with him.
Not only that this week, Bob, you know what else is going to happen in this game? Bryce is going to run the ball. Yeah. He is going to run with the ball in this game. I promise you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big difference maker.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's time to wake the kids and tell the neighbors it's time for Dane's Useless Trivia. Brought to you by, we're not sponsored yet. We got to get a sponsor for this useless trivia. Junko, get on that. Give us some useless trivia, buddy.
Okay, I'll work on that.
I think we're sponsored by the company that makes those BS meters, you know? Anyway. Hey, so Robert brought up the last time that they met was in 1976. So how many times have they met? Oklahoma and Michigan.
I'll say 3.
I think it's just once.
Yeah, it was just
the
once.
one?
That was the only time,
Okay.
only other time they met. It was in the Orange Bowl, January 1st, 1976.
Well,
Fortunately,
you said it that way. You led me on. You made me think that there was more than one.
where Oklahoma won 14-6. It was a rush-heavy game, 451 yards rushing to only 96 yards passing total for both teams. Michigan passed for only 33 yards and ran for 169. Sounds like last year's team. But the only...
Well, that was 76. That was a Schembechler team, right?
Yeah.
That was Rick Leach, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Rick Leach was the quarterback. And Gordy Bell.
Not a shocker.
Gordy Bell was the running back. He ended up scoring the lone touchdown. We missed on a 2-point conversion. And so that happened that way. But so what happened later that year, for a little more trivia, is that Michigan lost to OSU. OSU is undefeated, #1 in the land. And then they went to OSU went to play in the Rose Bowl, and they ended up losing in the Rose Bowl. They got their ass kicked in the Rose Bowl, 23-10 by UCLA. So with Oklahoma beating Michigan, Oklahoma was crowned the national champions of that year. Now, Michigan actually was the first Big Ten team to play in the Orange Bowl. Before that, the Big Ten said it's Rose Bowl or bust. So it was just, if you won the conference championship, you played in the Rose Bowl, everybody else stayed home and watched the Rose Bowl. But Schembechler and others lobbied the Big Ten to be able to play other bowl games. And so Michigan was the first Big Ten team to play in the Orange Bowl. Now, here's the big trivia question. There was one other Big Ten team to play in the Orange Bowl, but it was prior to them becoming a member of the Big Ten. So, was it Wisconsin, Michigan State Sparties, or Purdue?
I'll say Purdue.
Sparty. So, Michigan MSU played in the 38 Orange Bowl, but wasn't a Big Ten member yet.
What year was that?
1938.
38.
38.
What?
Okay.
Did they win the game, Dan?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't have that. Good question. I don't know if they won or not.
But Dane, Junko, that was not useless trivia. I found that very entertaining.
Now we got to change the name
of it. Up on that.
Yeah. No, we're not changing the name of it. The name stands.
I'll find some useless stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys, here we go. Forward down the field. We're switching gears, and here we go. For the second straight year in a row, the Lions have a lot of hope. Oh, man. This is getting exciting. It's the 53-man roster all set now. A few surprises, some new faces. It is Super Bowl or bust for Dan Campbell's knee biters. So let's start with offense. Ben Johnson is gone. John Morton is in. Does Detroit have the same firepower with the new OC? Junko?
No.
Okay.
I'm a big Ben Johnson fan, right? And I thought that he really revived the Detroit Lion offense. I do not believe, and I've watched the John Morton teams. They're very run-heavy teams, which fits the Campbell style, I will admit. But I don't see them having the same creativity that they've had in the past couple of years. How many trick plays did they run last year? What, 30?
At least once a game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big number, right? I don't see that being as much a part of their offense this year. I also think that their offensive line is going to be a question mark with Ragnow retiring, and I don't know who they've done a great job of replacing him. Maybe it's because of when it happened, but I just don't see them being as high-powered as last season.
Interesting. What do you think, Dane?
I'll give it a we'll see. Because, I partially agree with Junko. They were just a very cohesive unit. awesome offensive coordinator through the whole offense last year. Now we've got a couple bumps, in the line and new offensive coordinator. So we'll see. And Green starting off the Green Bay at Green Bay. Ouch. It'll be a huge test for them, especially now that they pick up Micah Parsons, right? So
I don't think he's going to play though.
oh,
I don't think he's going to play this week.
I heard he was. He has some back issues.
He's taking some injections.
But I heard he was going to play. So we'll see. Maybe not.
I don't know.
But we'll
guys,
see.
I tend to disagree.
Go ahead, Bob.
Finish off, Dane.
I was just going to say, I think there will be some firepower there. Will the play calling and execution, be equivalent to what we saw last year? I don't know. Jury's out.
I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, yeah, Ben Johnson was responsible for a lot of the play calling and maybe a lot of the design plays. Not every trick play worked. It was fantastic when they did. And I'm not discounting what he did. I just don't think it's that big a deal because you still have the same players making those plays. John Morton isn't unfamiliar with this offense. He was there in the very beginning under Dan Campbell's first 2 years. And Dan Campbell may still be calling a lot of the plays. That was his offense from the very start. So I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as you think. So, again, I mean, we got to start playing the games and find out for sure. But I'm, as an optimist, I'm saying I don't think it's that big a deal. I think what might be a bigger deal is Aaron Glenn being gone. He put that defense together last year with chewing gum and string. With the injuries, and I'm looking at Junko. You look skeptical.
I think in defense you get what you pay for. I thought chewing gum and string was a good analogy.
But we got Hutch back,
because that's what they paid for.
Hutch is
Now
back.
And Hutch is back.
Hutch is back.
Yep.
Hutch is back. Yeah.
So who are the
Anzalone.
guys on offense that are going to carry the load this season? Dane, why don't you just go over some names or who you think is going to have a strong year?
Yeah, so I think for Junko's benefit, I think Vaki is going to have a really strong year. I had to throw that in there.
Did he make the team or is he on the practice squad?
He's injured. He's got like a hamstring injury, so he's questionable. So we don't know if he's going to play or not.
That's what they do with guys they want to keep around but don't want to play. They put them on
injury list. Well, I think I've got some names here. It doesn't surprise anyone. I mean, St. Brown, Gibbs, Porta. Hopefully he comes back and really, plays well this year. I think all three of those are going to have big years. Gibbs is I think he's more determined than ever from what I've been reading. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And St. Brown is going to be just as talented, if not more. And Laporta, if we can get him in the game, I think that offense will be well balanced and we'll see a number of wins this season.
Junko?
Well, I agree with Dane on Gibbs and Laporta. I've also got Jamison Williams and needing to have a big year this year. Every year it seems like there's something that's happened to him. He got the gambling thing or he got the dope thing. This year he finally comes in. He's got, like a clean slate heading into the year. The guy's the fastest guy on the team. They need a breakout receiver. They need a game-breaking receiver. So I think that he's got to kind of lead them. And to me, it always comes down to Jared Goff. My fantasy quarterback last year, he was great or terrible. They won the games that he was great at. They even won a few of the games that he wasn't great at. But he's the engine. Without, they go as he goes. And so we'll have to see. I'm not a big fan, to be honest.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you won your fantasy football pool.
I did.
With who was your quarterback again?
Yeah, it was Jared Goff, right? But
look at the loyalty that this man has.
But I had some anxious moments, and I also had Brock Bowers as my tight end. That he helped a lot too. I'm just saying that. I don't have. I know, Bob, you bleed Honolulu blue. I get it, but I don't really see them being as good on offense this year.
What do you think, Boogie? Bob?
Well, this is a team that was 15-2 last year. How much more do you need to improve? So you still have Gibbs. You still have Montgomery. You guys didn't mention David Montgomery. That is the best 1-2 running back punch in the NFL. Of course, St. Brown, and you guys mentioned, J-Mo. He's going to have another year of maturing and hopefully a full year. So I see that offense is still clicking. Maybe not as the wow factor won't be there with Ben Johnson gone. I think that this is still, even though I don't think they're going to be 15-2, I think they're going to be a good offensive team this year. So
I got one prediction for you. One prediction heading into the end of the year is that this will be Montgomery's last year in Detroit.
You might be right. I could see that.
Yeah.
There's only so much money to go around.
Well, and you know what? He's an older running back too.
He was injured part of last year, right? So,
and one more thing that I will agree with you on Goff, he picked a hell of a time to have his worst game. That playoff game against Washington
Commanders
was bad.
And thank God the fantasy season was over at that point. I'd already won. If that had been my championship game, I'd have gone and seen him personally. Yeah.
I'm sure he would
So let's
have
talk
seen you
defense.
I'd have made it pay me
Defense
back.
was a problem. The defense was a problem just staying healthy. And of course, in the playoffs, that's where it finally showed. They've upgraded their roster and their depth, maybe, but no real key acquisitions where you could say, wow, we're better than last year. So Dane, once again, profile a couple players on the defense that you think are going to be highlights this year.
Yeah, I think Hutch coming back is going to be huge. I mean, I think they really missed him last year, being out so much, and we lost so many others. I think Rodriguez is still out too. He's still injured, so we're going to
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, we're going to miss him. But Anzalone, or Anzalone, I think he's going to do well at linebacker. He's been improving every year, I think. So I think it's the name. And what I'll say is, what I'm still a little suspect on is the secondary. So we'll have to see how that secondary plays, and Terry Arnold and the rest of them out there. We'll see.
Junko?
Yeah, Dave, I think when you say secondary, you mean cornerbacks, because their safety play is
safety play is good.
And
more or less,
right? Yeah,
Kirby Joseph.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think I had Terry and Arnold as one of the guys who needed to have a better year this year.
Yeah,
and I want Hutch, when Hutch comes back, I want Hutch to be Hutch, right? I don't want this version of him where he comes out and he says, well, I got to spend 6 games figuring out whether these working right or not.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Come out and be the guy. And with Campbell Ball, here's the problem with the Dan Campbell approach to the NFL in general, is that he plays balls out all the time. But the NFL is a long, long season, right? It's a destination. It's not game to game. You're trying to get to the Super Bowl, right? And last year he wore that team out. I mean, there even in the last game, the game they didn't even need. They were playing their regulars right to the end, and they're already banged up, right? I think that he needs to be, number one, a better game manager this year, and number two, cognizant of the longer term goal. That's what if I had a Christmas wish for him, if I was the angel, of the future, what do they call that? The ghost of the future.
Yeah.
I would come to him and I would say, dude, lay off the guys, give them some breaks. Now, he didn't play them in preseason, which I think is a bit of a mistake, because they're going to Green Bay here in week 1. We're going to talk about that now. Actually, we're talking about that now, right? Well, I'll let you lead in, Bob. I'll tell you what I think about Green Bay.
Yeah, no, I think as far as the defense side of the ball, of course, Hutch has to come back, and you're right, Junko. He's got to be Hutch. The guy was leading. He was out for 4 games, and he was still leading the league in sacks.
Right.
And then finally, the rest of the league caught up with it. But I mean, that he was so on fire the first 4 or 5 games. So, and then I need Terry and Arnold to have another year of maturity, and now this is his 3rd-ish season. Maybe he'll get the benefit of a few calls, PI calls, because they were on him quite a bit.
He's more grabby than my 6th grade, dance girlfriend, Anita Bryant, who was a grabby girl, right? Terry and Arnold, get your hands off those guys.
And you hated every minute of
God.
that.
Yeah. Anita Bryant, she was also
Get
an
braces,
orange
man.
juice.
Yeah,
She had
that's what I was gonna
braces.
say.
Come on.
Well, okay, so let's talk about week 1, Sunday. Not an easy start. It's one of the later featured NFL games, so it's got a 4:25 start at Lambeau. Boy, how do you guys see that game, and what do the Lions need to win? Junko started off.
Jordan Love is the truth, man. He is solid. The only good thing
Yeah, he
going in
is.
the Lions' favor against the offense, in my opinion, is Jalen Reed, I think, is hurt. But it's Green Bay on opening day, one of the toughest places to play against one of the best teams in the NFL. You know, uh, if Green Bay can run the football at all, I see this being a long day for Detroit. I mean, the only way Detroit wins, in my opinion, is if Jared Goff can dominate the passing game. He hasn't played it down in the preseason, which I think is a big mistake, especially going into a road game that's that difficult in week 1. I don't like Detroit's chances against Green Bay. I'll be honest.
Dane, talk to me.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Love's healthy. He just had some surgery on his left thumb, I guess, but it's not his throwing hand. So supposedly he'll be ready to go this Sunday. But and I think their D is going to be tough again. I think one of the keys is time of possession. I think the Lions have to win that battle. They have to, keep that ball. They've got to have some long drives. Quick scoring will be nice too, but I think the long drives and keeping Green Bay's offense off the field, I think, is a key to Lions winning. Also, just having a complete game, error-free game on both sides of the ball should give us a win. But I'm kind of with Junko. I'm seeing this one, maybe not.
Well, it is. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
But I see the key here will be that offensive line to see how much we can do with our running game and how much time they're going to give Goff. We've got basically half that offensive line are going to be in new positions and new roles. So Ragnow's gone, Zeitler's gone. So we'll see what they can do to protect Goff. Let's address Micah Parsons. I don't know how effective he's going to be. They're already talking about some back problems. He may start with some steroid injections in his back.
I hope he does.
L4, L5. Yeah. And you know what's funny about that? Now that you think of it, why was Jerry Jones so hesitant not to sign him? Money's never been a problem for that guy.
Yeah.
Sure. Salary cap issues. Sure. Gave a lot of money to Dak Prescott, but I think he would have found a way, if he wanted to keep Micah Parsons, and he didn't. So
if he thought Micah Parsons was healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And going to be healthy for a length of a long contract.
Maybe it's damaged goods, man.
Yeah. Who knows? And maybe there's a reason why the Lions didn't make that play for him. So let's pick this game. All right. Before we do, let's see what our season expectations are. This is our first show and basically our preseason NFL show. Let's see what we did last year. Do we have the records from that, Dane? Do you have our
somewhere
predictions from last year?
I don't have them with me.
Junko, do you have them anywhere?
I know Bob wants the answer to this question because he picked them at 13 and
come on
4.
Am I that kind of guy that would gloat?
Just like I do. Yes, you're the same way. I don't know. I can't remember. I think I said 15-2.
Yeah. And what a brilliant prediction.
Oh, yes.
And I'll just go on record as now being last because I was last. Yeah, I had the worst.
All right. So tougher schedule this year, right? Yeah. The division is tougher. Hutch is back though. So it's going to be, we'll see. So I got a number. Junko, what's your number for their season?
17 games, right? I always get this wrong in the NFL.
Glad you checked first.
Right. I'm going to go with the same number I had last year, 11-6. I got them at 11-6. I got to make it the playoffs at 11-6.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dane?
I looked at the games. I think they split with Green Bay. Lost to the Ravens, lost to the Bengals actually because it's away. Lost to the Chiefs, lost to Philly, lost to the Rams, and a loss to the
6.
Vikings. So they split with the Vikings also.
That's
So
7
I'm
losses.
Lost to the
saying 10 and
Rams?
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I got him 12 and 5. So, of course they're going to make the playoffs. Beyond is a question. I mean, I would love to see him in the Super Bowl, but this is a little iffier than last year. I mean, it's always tough, right? But this is Dan Campbell's 5th year, I believe, and it's time to make that leap. So now, all right, your score predictions for the Packers versus Lions at Lambeau. Go ahead, Junko.
Again, I was not going to like this, but I got the Packers beating Detroit 27-23. Like I said, Goff didn't play in the preseason, and it's a road game in Green Bay. I just don't see the Lions coming up on top.
Dane?
Yeah, for those two reasons, plus new coordinators, are we gonna have some issues there? We do have Hutch back. Yeah, that's great. We'll see if that running game can, like I said, time of possession, if we can keep the Green Bay offense off the field. But I also have the Packers 30, Detroit 27. So I think it's just that first game, again, with Goff
Close
not
game.
playing at all in the preseason. I don't know. I just see it coming out as a loss.
Well, this would be probably the best time to play at Lambeau. First game, still warm up in Green Bay. I see that Lambeau crowd hyped up. I see a lot of Lions fans making that trip. But I also see the Packers beating the Lions. 27-23.
I would have bet $1 million he wouldn't have.
No, I see that I just think that Green Bay is going to get to Goff a couple times. I just don't think that we're going to be able to execute the way we had. A lot of reasons why. First game, a big game that I see that as one of the 5 losses that I predicted. I think they're going to split that series with Green Bay, though.
Was your prediction the same as Junko's, 27-23?
Yes, exactly the
okay.
same. That's why, as he's saying it, I'm going, boy, I'm going to shock him.
Yeah, I am shocked.
I think he cheated.
Right. So
he
we will
looked at our
see.
notes.
I think he did too. Right.
All right,
Yeah.
so here we go. I'm going to wrap things up. Got some Lions trivia, right? So the Lions' all-time season opening record. First game record is 45-37-2. They actually have a winning record for opening days. Their most recent win streak is the one we're in right now, the current win streak of 2 games in 2023 and 2024. This will be the 3rd game if they win. But believe it or not, at some point they had a 10-game winning streak of opening day games. I'm going to give you 3 eras that when that streak might have happened, and you tell me which one you think. All right? First of all, 1988 to 1997, that was Wayne Fontes and Barry Sanders, that era. 1930 to 1939, when they were the Portsmouth/Lions. Actually, Spartans. Portsmouth/Lions Spartans. Okay. And then 1952 to 1961, when they played at Briggs Stadium and Bobby Lane was the quarterback. So tell me, what era was it that they won 10 in a row on opening day?
So it's very tempting to go with the Bobby Lane era. Very, very tempting to go with that one. However, I think you're setting me up. I'm going to go. Actually going to go with the 88 to when 97.
88 to 97.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that era.
Barry Sanders.
No, I don't think that's the right answer. I think the right answer is the Bobby Lane era. I'm going to go with the Bobby.
Okay, both good guesses. That's why I put them in there. It was 1930 to 1939.
Yeah, we had 2 out of 3 chances, and we still got it
exactly.
I know.
Well, guys, that was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you every week and doing this again. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for listening, folks, and know that the Lowdown team will be back for this entire 2025-2026 football season. Note, of course, that we are a slightly different format this year. We're going to cover mostly Michigan and Detroit football, and of course, Tigers won today, so we'll cover them if they become a little bit more noteworthy as the season goes on. They now have the second best league in the record in the American League. To all our loyal listeners, just want to say thank you. And please remember to share our podcast with your Detroit sports friends. High five that subscribe button. That tells us, and more importantly, tells our sponsors that you like the show. This podcast is part of Junko Bodie Productions and an exclusive production of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Network. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you all on the next edition of Lowdown on Motown Sports. Thanks, guys.
Great job, guys. Bob, was that you get that? You just got back from Ireland. Did you get that shirt there?
No, this is a Michigan shirt.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast. If you're liking what you're hearing, then why don't you do us a solid and rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show. And, we're pretty awesome, so why not share the awesomeness? We appreciate it. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Lowdown on Motown Sports Podcast.